Right. Okay, so hello everybody, welcome to this podcast. Today I have here with me Bernardo Moya, who is the CEO, as you can see behind you, of the Best You Expo. And he's done many wonderful things with that. And I'd like to introduce you to him and let him introduce himself. And hi, Bernardo, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
So first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the CEO of the Best You Expo, and then we can start with our questions.
Absolutely. Well, my background, I don't know, I suppose like pretty much a lot of people around the world, I've done all sorts of things, from working in bars, nightclubs, and selling timeshare to involved in, property development, real estate, but into what I'm doing today happened in my early 40s. I lost my money for the second time, and I wanted to go down a completely new path. And although I was very interested in personal and professional growth, it was really NLP that got my interest. And well, for some of you that may or may not know, I was Richard Bandler's promoter for 10 years 12 years actually, with NLP Life Training, and promoted him and Paul McKenna for a number of years. And then, yes, after that, I think 6 years in, I saw there was, something missing. Or I felt there was something missing within the personal development world, where it was all very fragmented, everyone doing their own thing. And I wanted to create a brand that would bring everyone together, a place where everyone could share their expertise, independent of what they believed in or what they follow. And I wanted to kind of bring everything together. So that's where the whole idea of the Best You brand came to life, with the Best You magazine, and then, the Best You Expos, which we did for a number of years in London, and then in the US, and then from then on, it moved on to the Best You TV and other brands that the Best You has now. I'm also an author, a speaker, a coach, mentor, and obviously I've been an entrepreneur for 40 years. So I bring all that together, and I've got all these different hats, which I wear depending on the occasion.
Nice. It's nice to have all those parts of you being expressed. It's very satisfying, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to start with the first question, and that is, how many businesses have you set up in the past?
Well, I was thinking about that. Quite a few, actually. I think as far as businesses is concerned, my first one was a real estate kind of exchange service, which, was quite common in those days when I started in business. I was probably around just 2019, 20. I just finished the army, which was compulsory in Spain. So I'd already done some sales and timeshare, but that was my first. It was a kind of a real estate service center. And then after that, I got into quite a few years later, I was working for other people in timeshare. And then eventually I got back into building. So that was a business that I had. We used to build, construct, refurbish. That was a company. And then I had another company, which was a real estate company, where we sold properties internationally. I think in between that, I had a small cleaning agency as well that I did. And with all that expertise, and afterwards I became a promoter, so a promoter, as I said, promoting Richard Banner, Paul McKenna, and different companies that I've had. So probably around 5 or 6 different types of businesses. I've always been kind of I found it quite easy to visualize and build in my mind businesses and then follow them through to create them. So yeah, quite a few different outcomes with a lot of them. Not all of them were successes, of course.
No, well, that's part of the learning, isn't it? It's so when you visualize these things, do you find that things just fall into place, like the law of attraction thing starts happening, where opportunities just kind of miraculously turn up and help you on that path?
Well, it's a part of it is hard work, but the actual part of them becoming a reality is that I think, if anything, NLP did show me about, with timelines and visualizing, the law of attraction is more right, kind of repeating and obviously kind of saying, I will be, I will do, but obviously it's about implementing as well and looking at those necessary steps. So I would always look at, in my mind, I would have kind of the ultimate product or the ultimate service created in my mind, and what would that look like. So I would have to initiate all the steps pretty much like doing an event. Every time I've done an event, it's always been like that. Okay, what's the event like? What does it look like? And then what's the date? And then once I put the date in my mind, then I start thinking, okay, what do I need to do in order to make it all happen? So I would go through the steps backwards, in order for it to become a reality. So yeah, I mean, I think as anything and everything that's been created, invented in the world was in someone's mind first. A chair, a table, a speaker, a microphone, anything and everything has been invented in someone's mind first, and then became a reality through implementing those steps.
So one of the things I'm thinking about there is, you've set your day and it's like this big event. How do you deal with the nerves of, let's say, getting bums on seats? How do you do the marketing so that you get guaranteed those to fill up that event?
Well, a lot of these times it depended the events. Obviously, with a lot of the cases, if it was like NLP or Richard Bandler, well, then it was more about the story of the man, and obviously what he did, and presenting and showing kind of either testimonials or case studies or footage from the events, and obviously presenting kind of the outcome of what would happen. But it requires a lot of it. There's so many different kinds of parts, obviously, kind of from the event planning to obviously then structuring the prices. Is there an early bird price? Do they increase monthly? But everything has to be combined. Everything has to be working, and everything has to be working at speed and in a specific time frame, because you've got a certain amount of months. So in your mind, again, you also have to kind of plan, okay, well, how many people would I need by this time? How many people would I need by this month? And so on. With the Expo, although it was a much bigger event, strategically kind of we have like 9. I mean, we've got another Expo happening in LA now after COVID. We've got 10 stages. So even in my last one in London, that's what we had. We had 10 stages. Each of those rooms needed to be filled in. We had 150, 200 booths, 150 speakers. So there's a lot of moving parts to provide everyone what they need in order for them to promote, but also for us to be able to provide them the exposure. It's a win-win situation, I think, kind of as a promoter or as a creator of anything, really, kind of you need to make sure that everyone's doing their bit, either from your team, but also specifically, as my case became with the Expo, the success of an event like that was relatively simple if you think about it. If it's 150 speakers and everyone invites 100 people, which doesn't sound like a lot really, if they are speakers, influencers, and they've got their list, it shouldn't be very difficult. Well, that's 15,000 people. So, everyone has to chip in, everyone has to contribute. Promoting events is difficult, but it's relatively easy if everyone that's involved chips in and contributes towards the success of the event, because at the end of the day, it's a success for everyone.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, the speakers are influencers. They've got their own followings as well. Yeah, that helps. So, so my next question is, where did you first learn to be an entrepreneur? Did you realize you had this as a young person? Like, for example, my niece, I can spot already. She's 8 years old, or she's 9 now. She just had a birthday. And I can see that she's going to be an entrepreneur just by the way she is, and she doesn't even realize it probably yet. So was that true for you, or was that something you were like, I've had enough of working for the man, I'm going to be my own boss now?
Yeah, I think I kind of knew when I was young as well. I was really up for the experience. So a lot of, and even kind of working in nightclubs, well, that gave me the know-how, to bring people. So a lot of what I learned, to bring people to the parties in the evenings was part of the process of my mindset of, working together with a team to bring people, in this case, obviously to a live event and during the day. But no, I always wanted to learn, and I had this, I was willing to learn from people that inspired me. I remember in sales, in timeshare, I had some fantastic sales managers and MDs, and kind of, they were just extremely inspiring, and I would learn from them, because I want, kind of, especially when it came down to selling and mirroring and being able to kind of learn the techniques that they had. So I was really into that. And because at the end of the day, there's so much greatness out there. You just got to open your eyes and look at it, find it, and then model it to a degree. So I really learned as much as I could from the people that inspired me, that I wanted to work with. And then eventually, obviously, I knew I wanted to do my own thing. But I combined a number of businesses, working with other people, and then but then I think kind of once I really tasted, being my own boss and relatively being successful with it and building something that I loved and I enjoyed and was mine, I just never wanted to go back to that, working 9 to 5 for someone.
Mhm.
But I just didn't have that mindset of having or giving my life or dedicating my life to someone else's dream. So yeah, I think since a very early age I knew. And then once I did it, it was just a matter of time and continuing to do, what I do now.
Yeah, and I find that's a lot of the beginning of personal development, because that's kind of what I did. I worked for this perfume company when I was a teenager, and they were an American company, and they're like, here are these perfumes, and they were slightly changed from the original, so they weren't copies, and so they were legal. And I'd go around these shops with a bag full of perfume and try to sell them to the people in the shops, and they're like, you got to go with it, and it's very American, it's very rah rah rah. And yeah, they were very inspiring, but it was just so not British, and so I had to break out of that very conservative. And so they're like, if you get down with all the no's, you're closer to a yes. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes, yes.
and they're like, have a little song that you can sing to bring you back up. And I was thinking the other day, this is like state change, what Richard, teaches us. And I did one day, I got so disheartened and so deflated. And they were singing this song outside this shop. But I don't think it worked. But yeah, I think if we're on this path, it kind of gets divinely, in a way, divinely ordained, because you don't realize what you're learning is going to be teaching you something, for the future. So yeah, them sales managers have got a lot to answer for, I'd say.
Well, absolutely. And I think yes. I mean, I think people underestimate, the value of failures, the value of those difficult challenging moments we've had, those uncomfortable things that we had to do. But it's what builds character, what makes us who we are today. It's all experience, it's all wisdom. Kind of I don't take any no personally. If anything, my attitude is they're missing out. The state starts within, obviously. So if you believe fully, tremendously in what you're doing, it comes across in the way you speak, the way you express yourself, but it also comes in your voice and the tonality of your voice and your non-verbal communication. So you understand that everything's a falling part. And listen, I'm 57 now, so kind of like and I've done quite a few things in my life, and I've met some amazing people and promoted some amazing speakers over the years. So I think we all get there to a degree where kind of you're comfortable in sitting in a room knowing that you're kind of in control of whatever it is, state or emotion or whatever's going to happen at that time. I can't remember the last time I felt kind of like I don't know, nervous, or I can't remember the last time that I would go to someone and not feel that I was to a degree in control. It doesn't mean that I win all the times, but I mean that I was comfortable with whatever the outcome was. Obviously, ideally, they come towards my camp and what I'm planning and doing or want them to do. But apart from that, everything's good. It's all feedback. Things happen for you, not to you.
Yeah, if only I knew that when I was younger there, because it was terrifying.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what elements taught you the most about running a business? Was it management? Was it organization? Was it delegating? What sort of elements taught you the most about running the business?
Well, I think management, obviously, is important. Having a great team around you, and being able to obviously, kind of motivate them and towards, kind of whatever the ultimate goal is. I've been lucky enough to have some fantastic people working for me over the years, in sales and all the different products that we were selling, either the NLP training or the Expo. So I've always had a lot of great people that believed in me and believed in what I was doing. And they would just fully follow me, to whatever it is that we were doing. But I think a strong leader comes from someone that is capable of delegating, but most importantly has the potential of inspiring, and and if you do that, then and look, a boss or someone that manages a company will have times when things get challenging. And I've had a couple of companies obviously that we lost, or literally did not work out, especially my real estate years, when kind of the real estate crisis just hit me very, very bad, and I had to start all over again. There was nothing I could do about it. But I think it comes down to strong vision, strong leadership, and having a team that believes in you, and moving all those different parts. I mean, if there's something that kind of I've managed to do always is just look at a company from above, and look at all the different parts that need to happen, social media, design, selling, marketing, event, the events specific logistics of admin and organization. So I've always, anything like that, I would always overlook at all the different parts are, and making sure that everyone is doing their job and duty. So it's just a responsibility you have to have that helicopter view of what's going on, and making sure that nothing is falling behind, or no one.
And do you put the systems in place, like for example, your social media lead, do you just say, I want this many subscribers or whatever, and you just let them go? Or is there a certain protocol that you like to work by, that they have to learn?
I'm not a tremendous systems guy, but having said that, I've always been very interested in technology. So whatever systems we've used, is it a marketing tool? Is it something that we're using for texting? Is it whatever we're doing on campaigns? Is it Facebook? Is it Google AdWords? Are we creating funnels? Whatever it is that we were doing at the time, I've always wanted to understand how it works, because it's important to me to understand how things work. Especially if it's technological, it doesn't scare me. I'll give it a go. I'll try, because if I understand how it works and how easy or complicated it might be, then I feel that I'm a better manager, and I can obviously then manage their expectations and my expectations based on what I feel is reality of that time frame or work that they should be able to implement the things that we're discussing. But then after that, I do like to let them get on. I don't know. I can come up with ideas as far as social media, and then correct and fix some things regarding maybe the design. But after that, once they've got kind of my style or what I like or what the brand needs to look like, then I just let them get on with it and come up with the visuals and take care of it. When it comes down to copywriting and things like that, well, look, I can write copy and stuff like that. I'm not the best. So if I can find someone else that can help me to do that, I'll do that. But I know what good copy is, and I've written copy, and I know what we need to do in order to do that. So I like giving people the freedom to do what they need to do. But I need to understand the systems in order for me to be able, because if not, I just don't feel, I don't think I'll ever be working in something where I don't understand how things work. Even when you're publishing a book, okay, well, how do I publish a book? How does it work? What platforms do you go? And if it is, okay, if you're using this platform, i.e. Amazon, well, how can I create more categories? When it comes down to designing a book, well, I want to be involved in the whole process of the illustrations, the font. Again, because I know what I like. Once I know what I've explained what I like, then let them get on with it. So I'm kind of hands-on, but I love giving the freedom for people to then go and do their own thing, and hopefully, show me how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. So next question is, what was the main focus of your business when starting out, and how did that change over time? And maybe I'm not talking to each individual business, but for you personally, like in the book, which is called is it the business entrepreneur? No, the BMO entrepreneur. It's quite a famous one. I can't remember it now. But anyway, he said, when you're setting out a business, what do you want that business to do for you? Because otherwise you can end up working in the business and being trapped. And the idea is to work on the business, and so that you're living your life and it's running. It's something to do with franchises, this book.
Yeah.
You might know the name of it, but basically, what's the focus?
Yeah, I can't think of the title of the book right now. Well, I suppose in many cases, when you're building a business, ultimately, maybe along those lines is, what is your exit strategy? What are you planning with what you're creating? And And yes, quite rightly, you know, are you working for the business? Was the business working for you? I think for me personally, things have changed. I mean, I've always had the intention of building a business in order to kind of sell it and find an exit strategy. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been successful in that way for several reasons. You know, kind of first time, well, I think the main of my first original time was with a real estate crash. It was unexpected. I wasn't expecting it to happen, but we were building. I was planning and franchising and licensing it out. Then when I was doing something very specific, which was working with Richard Bandler and NLP Life Training, well, there's not a lot I could do because it was all about him. And you know, kind of, I couldn't really scale that up more than I did. That's why I wanted to create the Best You. And the Best You was about creating multiple platforms with the intention of having a big list, different business models within the business. But yes, you know, what's the exit strategy? Who can I get to, you know, buy me out or come in and take some equity of the company? That was my intention. But our main thing was events. So just when I went over to the US to scale it all up, then COVID happened again. COVID happened. So, you know, kind of my business model disappeared pretty much overnight.
How did you cope with that? What was that like a shock? I mean, it was the weirdest thing, wasn't it?
Well, it's been so difficult for so many people. I don't feel that I own, you know, kind of the challenges that we've gone through. But for me, it was difficult because, I mean, at that time in particular, I went to the US to scale my business up and to sell it. And I think we had a really successful winning formula to have done it and achieved it. Even in hindsight, which is a beautiful tool to have, but we don't necessarily have. I mean, I think if I would have built my expos from the beginning in the US, I think we would have gone to a different level a lot quicker, and we would have got a lot bigger. But my home and my turf was London. That's what I knew, and that's where I started building. So although I was thinking big because I didn't want to take the events abroad, I was still thinking small because I was local. But when I did decide to jump over to the US, then unfortunately COVID happened, and then, you know, my business disappeared. We stayed in business because we transitioned to TV, and, you know, kind of, it was something that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to stream. I wanted to have our content on a TV channel. I believe the future of personal development is on TV. It's something that I believe in very, very strongly. And I think, you know, kind of, if anything, the pandemic and the online world now that we live in, you know, is showing us that there's just multiple ways of connecting with people, not only live. Because even when I did my last event in London, which was 14,000 people, I never thought it was enough. I thought, well, okay, well, yes, but there's billions of people. How can this be enough? So I think if anything, you know, I'm now using my experiences of running events, the experience of, hey, literally lose my complete team with just literally 2 or 3 of us working and move it all to TV, to come back now to do an expo and obviously now implement everything that we've learned in this process. And I think, look, at the end of the day, you can either give up or you can carry on going. I love what I do, and I love the effect of the Best You. I love kind of what we've managed to do. I think we've obviously helped and inspired people around the world, and I don't even know what the ripple effect is of someone meeting a speaker on an event that I put, you know, on stage. I don't know, but I know we've done something, but I'm just simply interested in doing more, because if anything, I think now's the time where humanity needs to step up. You know, kind of the world is extremely fragmented. It seems very lost. I think we're in deep depression because of everything that's happened, and, you know, us being closed in, and now the economy. I think, if anything, this is the most important time in life for us to be able to really change the world. And I think change in the world will come from personal and professional growth. So if anything, I want to use my experience, the drive that I still have, and the wisdom that I have, which is obviously better than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, to do more. So, you know, kind of that's my job, that's my role. And I'm very aimed now, Gina, around the whole conversations around love and consciousness. I just did an event around love. So kind of bringing love and consciousness to the forefront of everything that we do is really important to me. I published a new book recently, which is called A Man Evolving, which is all about kind of like, you know, how we have to.
What's the name of the book? Man Evolving.
The name of the book is called A Man Evolving. It's confessions about monogamy, passion, and broken hearts. It isn't.
So the kind of love you're speaking about is romantic love and relationships.
No, it's not. That's my book, but I just literally promoted an event which was called the Love Event, which was all about elevating consciousness and finding things that brings us together. I've got 2 hats. One is a promoter of bringing love and consciousness to the forefront of what we do, and the other thing is my take as an author of making love more of a non-private conversation. I think we should be able to express how we feel, and we should be able to express love and share love and talk about love, and it does include romantic love. But as a promoter, I'm more interested in finding ways where we can talk about love and elevate consciousness. So that's kind of my key things now, together with obviously the Best You Expo and the other things that we're doing.
That's brilliant. I love that, because I feel as a spiritual sort of person, we're moving into the 5D, the heart-centered, way, and I think that's happening, and we can't stop that now. And I think I'm seeing it happen more and more every day. So that's really good. Excellent. So question 5, what are the key success points in your business that drove you forward? We've talked about the failures, but let's look at the successes, the one that you really feel, yes, I got that. And did any of those points make you be the thing that drove you forward?
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, I think kind of when we're in the driving seat of our companies and in our lives, a lot of the times we don't actually get to, just roll the window down or press a button down and just really have a look outside and enjoy the fresh air, because we're on to the next one. I think, I'm very proud of the Best You Expos. I'm very proud of what we've managed to do there. And I think, what it's managed to achieve or to do is to bring a lot of great people together with this unique idea. So I find myself, becoming that conduit, which is what I am, that promoter that brings people. So I'm very proud of that. And I think a lot of the successes was around simply willing to dare, and willing to think big. I mean, I share this a lot. I wrote about this a lot in my previous book, which was The Question, Find Your True Purpose, which is all about asking yourself empowering questions. What would I do if no one could stop me? What would I do if money wasn't an issue? What haven't I done yet? How can I change the world? How can I inspire the world? What hasn't been done yet? So I'm a great believer in that, in asking yourself empowering questions. So every single time that I've done an event is, well, how can I make it better? How can I make it bigger? How can I reach more people? So the first time I did that event, it was a hell. It was like 3 months of hell, 4 months, and it was longer than that, but 3 months in those final days and trying to get that event together, and everything was against us. And then the second event, we doubled 6,000. And I remember I did the third one, and I swore I would never ever do it again. We had 12,000 people, and then I swore again I'd never ever do it again. And then I did again, and I did 14,000 people, because it was just that buzz. What it is? It's just so much work, so much stress, so many falling different, parts that have to come together. But when you're walking through the halls and you see kind of the energy, the room, you see people and people coming up to you and saying thank you, and you can see the effect of people, I don't know, smiling, engaging, connecting, meeting, learning. It was just extremely fulfilling for me. So, that's why I kept going. But I remember, I think it was the first event, and we finished the first event, and we just literally, I think it was day 3 on Sunday, and we were having a few drinks. I was celebrating, obviously. I was having a couple of gin and tonics, and I was talking to my event manager, who I loved dearly. And I said to her, well, next year, I said, and I just finished the event, but I was already in my mind. I knew what I was going to do different, and I was planning on doing different. And she said, Bernardo, stop. You have to be realistic, she said to me. And I remember saying, well, who establishes what reality is? And in what reality are we talking about? Because we all set our own realities. We all set our own expectations. My expectations that anything that I've done is just far too small. And what I need to do next is far bigger. So I think there's a fear of failing. There's a fear of thinking big. There's a fear of dreaming. And guess what? At the end of the day, even if it didn't work out, so what? At the end of the day, in your deathbed, you're going to be thinking, oh my God, at least I gave it a go. Not instead of, those broken dreams. And as I say, the cemetery is full of, books that haven't been published, songs that haven't been written, and projects that's never been done. So just go out and do it.
That's quite sad, isn't it? When people have got all that potential inside them to share with the world, even just creating is very, very fulfilling, even if nobody sees it. I mean, I'm currently doing something called fluid art. It's acrylic pour painting. People are like, are you selling it? And well, no, I'm just, enjoying seeing what colors happen, how it works and what techniques. And for me, that is just my little sacred, fulfillment. So yeah, it's
Lovely. Yeah, whatever rocks your world.
that's it. That's it.
Mm.
But I do commend you, because there's a lot of work and a lot of dedication to seeing people improve. So, and that, like you say, is going to change humanity one by one. So my mystery question, the last one, is what can you tell our listeners about how to be more resilient, how to be resilient in business?
Well, I actually talk about also in that book of mine, the questions I think the three fundamentals of any successful person or anyone that manages to achieve anything is number one, resilience. I mean, there's the three R's: resilience, revolution, which is change, and being, welcoming change because it's the only way we grow, and then reinvention. Plants have to die, in order for new seeds, new trees, to grow. And sometimes, disasters need to happen in order for new realities to flourish, So resilience is a capability that we all have. We're all willing to do. We all have the capability of doing, the most amazing things. And creativity comes. And if you look at kind of what's been created in these last 3 years, 4 years, because of COVID and technology wise, the advances we've had in these last 4 or 5 years is that the man, human beings are capable of creating the most amazing things, especially in moments of adversity. And we have that inner strength within us where we're capable of doing things which seem impossible. And the stories are full of people that crossed oceans, that climbed mountains, traveled, rescued their kids, lifted cars, you name it. We have this phenomenal inner strength within us, but it's sometimes that fear of what if, that holds us back. I just have this idea, this sense that, kind of we're meant to sometimes fall down. Sometimes we're meant to restart. Sometimes we're meant to stop. Sometimes we're meant to pause. Sometimes we're meant to fail, because it's all part of the process of you, becoming who you are. And as I said, things happen for you, not to you. So you've got to understand why these things are happening for you. And the reason they're happening is because it's the universe connecting with you, kind of it's telling you, hey, this is what you need to do next. This is what needs to happen next in order for you to get to the next stage. We've all gone through those situations. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die. I never was going to make it. And there we are. Oh, you laugh at it. You look at it now. You look 3 years, 4 years ago. And if anything, you understand, kind of that's where you grew from. So we have resilience within us. We just have to be prepared to go all in. And sometimes when we fail, yes, okay, we might have a dark day, but you just simply brush yourself off and you get up the next morning. And if anything, I've got one of the things I think I do have is I've always been tremendously resilient. I've lost my money quite a few times. I've lost, businesses. I've been on my knees, emotionally, physically, financially. And although I might have had a couple of bad days, but sometimes I have more than one, kind of whatever's happened is I've always brushed it off. And I always had this picture in my mind, and like Rambo, kind of when I would fall down, the next morning I would get up, and it's always that sense I've had of just like put the knife back in my teeth and just go out and fight again. I'm fresh again. So, you can have a bad day. Okay. Lick your wounds, get up, keep going. There's nothing else you can do, really.
Fantastic. And on that note, Bernardo, how can people contact you? What's the best place you would like people to go to, or places, whether it be social media, email, website?
Thank you. Yeah, well, if obviously, depending what you're interested in doing, my webpage is Bernardo Moya, Bernardo-Moya, MOYA.com. I've got loads of resources there, free downloads for my books. I've got obviously my new book there as well. I do coaching, mentoring. If you want to get involved in anything that we're doing, well, you can go to thebestyou.co. That's thebestyou.co. And if not, thebestyouexpo.com. If you're a speaker, you want to get involved in our event in LA next year, I recommend you just go to thebestyouexpo.com. If you want to get involved in the TV, thebestyou.tv. So, but anyway, I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram, Bernardo Moya. I'm pretty much around. So anything I can do to help, I'll be delighted.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Bernardo. And I wish you all the luck and good luck with your expo in LA next year.
Gina, thank you so much. Thank you for your great work, and thank you for the opportunity once again.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I'll just
Thank you.
stop the recording.